nobody is coming to save us when it comes to our businesses, and no one's coming to save us when it comes to our health.
Nobody.
Are you drinking wine at the end of a day because you didn't make your money goals, or are you drinking wine at the end of the day because you did make your money goals?
When you don't get sleep, your mortality rate of everything doubles.
Yes. I wrote a paper after the club.
You pulled some serious miracles. And we didn't have ChatGPT.
No,
we had
we
to
did
study all night. When you're stressed and you're in that sympathetic mode, your body's thinking about safety. It's not thinking about being more productive. It's not thinking about your KPIs and your budget. This article also highlights that Black women specifically need more sleep.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to CEO Conversations, the private practice podcast. I'm your host, Brandy Mabra. It's time to show up as a confident leader to create a practice and life you love.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of CEO Conversations. I am excited today because we are talking all about sleep. Sleep. So in the past episode, I talked about just the profit playbook and how one of the things that I see is just in different seasons of business, different seasons of life, then sleep. We have more control over the fact that we can sleep. So it is not just a choice just to stay up all of the hours of night, and we can definitely set ourselves up. So to have this conversation in a deeper way, then I asked Dr. Felicia Ivey to come back to the podcast. She was on the podcast a couple of years ago, and I still send out that episode if anybody is talking about sleep. And so I'm so excited to have her with me today to take a good look at sleep, things that we can do to get better sleep, habits that we can have, and some of the things that I just don't even know about sleep because I'm not the expert. She is. So welcome to CEO Conversations, Felicia, Dr. Ivey.
Thank you so much, Brandy. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah.
The setup is way cuter than last time I was here. I think we just were virtually. Your studio is so cute. It's amazing.
Yes. No, it's a good setup. I'm so thankful for my podcast producer that she has such an amazing setup. So yes. So let's talk about sleep, but first introduce yourself, and for those who don't know you, and all the amazingness that you do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me back.
Yes.
This topic never gets old to me, clearly. But hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Felicia Ivey. I am the founder and CEO of Sleep for Wellness. I teach high performers and companies how to really own their sleep so they can be more profitable, healthier, and really become the best versions of themselves. So I'm super excited to be back here to talk about different seasons of life. I've gone through a few different seasons.
Yes,
I know
you
you've
have.
gone through a few different seasons. So, talking about business and all the different things that encompass sleep and how we can use that to our benefit. I'm super excited to be part of the conversation.
No, thank you. I think with the clients that I work with, and even with my own journey, sleep is, just everybody knows it's not a surprise that we need to get good sleep and that we need to stay asleep once we are asleep. But I think it's always easier said than done. So I'm curious to know, especially for business owners that are listening, entrepreneurs that are listening. We're all in healthcare. What can we do to set ourselves up? Because sleep is just some nights not going to happen. And I think that we need to be better prepared. Instead of saying we need to try to get sleep, we need to be better prepared for when we are not going to get sleep, because it's just a matter of life. So what do you recommend for folks, especially during stressful seasons? There's a lot that's happening in the world right now. There's a lot that's happening that we're being exposed to. There's a lot that's happening with economy, healthcare, we're at war. I mean, all kinds of stuff. So
just stop. Okay. This is a lot of things.
Yes.
Now I'm getting stressed. But yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. There's going to be different seasons of life. And I think that one of the biggest things that I've tried to do and to teach, myself and my clients is to embrace that season.
Yes.
Whether it's motherhood, whether it's launching a new business, anytime you're in a season, you need a really good system
Yeah.
to get through that season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest thing, I think, is having a good system.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to sleep, one of the nerdy things in the research that's a good system for sleep is called sleep hygiene.
Mm.
And so having good sleep hygiene habits earlier before you get through that stressful period will really help set you up for the best outcome during a stressful time.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're stressed, your cortisol levels go high.
Mm-hmm.
And cortisol is really effective at interrupting your sleep in the middle of the night, especially around 2 to 4 a.m.
Yes.
That's its main job.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we can do things earlier in the day to reduce our cortisol levels with better sleep hygiene techniques, it's going to set you up. So what are some things that you can do? It's easy, but just getting like sunlight exposure during the day really helps to reset your circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
We hear it all the time. It's not anything new. It's you can Google these things, you can chat GPT these things, and it will tell you getting sunlight will really help set your circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're stressed, you're working at your desk, you're working through lunch, you're not taking the time to get up.
Mm-hmm.
But even a short 10-minute walk outside can give you a little bit of that sunlight exposure to help set your circadian rhythm for later on that night.
Yes.
Other sleep hygiene techniques that you can do, and one of my favorite things is doing a really good brain dump.
Mm-hmm.
I think as women, especially in business, we carry a lot of things in our mind.
Yes.
And especially when it's a season of stress, you can't really prioritize all the things that are just floating around.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a good old piece of paper by the bed
Mm-hmm.
and just jotting down those thoughts, jot down, that conversation, jot down the business deal that didn't happen, why it didn't happen, jot down what your plan might be for tomorrow, and just dump it. When you get it out on paper, it really allows your brain to kind of turn off that negative loop and allows your body to rest a little bit. So those are just like some short things that are free you can do outside of different supplements, which I know we'll talk about later.
Yes, we are. We're going to get into all the
Yeah.
longevity supplements and things because I'm obsessed.
Yes.
So just walk us through some of the stats and research for why we need to get more sleep.
Well, thank you. First of all, if you're looking at research, I love a good systematic review.
Mm-hmm.
A systematic review is going to look at multiple studies.
Mm-hmm.
So this one here, this is on sleep deprivation on cognitive women who are postmenopausal.
Wow.
It looked at 795 studies. And out of those 795, it narrowed it down to 19 studies that had every single topic about sleep deprivation, cognition, perimenopausal, and it took those 19 studies and put it into one.
Oh, wow.
So you have the best evidence to really go with having like an informed opinion on something versus just one. So that's, if you're looking for research, look for a systematic review.
Yeah.
But this one was great. It talked about all the impairments with sleep deprivation. And one of the impairments is executive functioning skills.
Mm-hmm.
What is executive functioning? It's processing speed.
Yes.
It's rebuttals during meetings. It's remembering the email and the line and the SOP you wrote, all the details to help lead your team. And one of the staggering things about the research with sleep deprivation is that we know that women need more sleep.
Yes.
But this article also highlights that Black women specifically need more sleep.
Oh, wow.
And that a Black woman was 1.36 times higher to have a cognitive impairment after a sleepless night than maybe a white woman. And so I think when we're looking at business and we're looking at executive functioning and leveling the playing field, sometimes as a Black woman, lack of sleep impacts us differently.
Yes.
And we don't want to have any type of issues or, we're not performing at our highest when maybe it doesn't impact other groups as much as it impacts us.
Yeah, no, I think that that's really, really good because I, as a Black woman myself, and then also I work with a lot of Black women, women of color, and I think it's important for us to have that type of information because of how we need to show up, and
Yes.
so I think even if we pull in that in a lot of spaces and places, we have to be at our top when it comes to excellence and making sure, making sure that we're able to communicate the way that we need to communicate, that we're able to lead the way that we need to lead, the way that we need to build our businesses because of just lack of capital and, resources and all the things. And to hear that we have to definitely put ourselves in a place to get more sleep on top of it because of how our bodies is made up is actually really empowering.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. That is crazy.
It's like, just leveling the playing field. You always remember growing up, I remember I couldn't make a mistake. Like someone else could make a mistake. Like my mistake was always worse, but I'm like, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so this is something going into adulthood and being a business owner and really just making sure you're at all cylinders and above and beyond. Start with your sleep. If you want to be the best version of yourself as a Black woman in business, start with your sleep. So that way you can find the best answers for things when they really want your subject matter expertise. You can pull it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even when it comes to building businesses, like we need to have all women, need to definitely have amazing businesses, but specifically when it comes to Black women, and even with women of color, like our businesses truly, truly, truly matter, and successful businesses truly, truly matter because we're in the smaller margins.
Yep.
So I think that this topic is so timely and so good, and I cannot wait just to continue with this conversation. So when we are thinking about sleep hygiene, I love that because I think about my past self. And even with my journey with sleep and trying to make sure that I'm setting myself up, the sleep hygiene that I had in my 20s and the sleep hygiene that I had even in my 30s and the sleep hygiene that I had after I had a baby, it was not, I wasn't as good then as what I am now. And so I always think about what could my past self, and I think a lot of the listeners are of all different ages. I know that. So what are the things, like the obstacles that can come up with trying to implement good sleep hygiene? Because it sounds good, like the brain dump and being able to start earlier in the day, to take the 10-minute walk. But what are some of the things that you see that keep people from being able to do that?
Jeez. Well, I'll start with your 20s, 30s, and try to go into motherhood because there's a lot of obstacles with sleep after you become a parent. But I think in our 20s, at Ohio State, sleep hygiene was I'm not sleeping. I'm
Go to the pot.
Yeah, we won't talk about this on the podcast at Ohio State, but you're not thinking about your sleep. I remember taking an exam after staying up all night, and I surprisingly got an A in it. And I
wrote a paper after the club.
You pulled some serious miracles, and we didn't have ChatGPT. We had to study all night, and we figured it out. It was, so don't do that. But I think that, when you're in a season in college in your 20s, you should have fun.
Yeah.
That just builds character.
Yeah.
But I think if you're early in your career.
I don't think we have any college people listening.
No,
do we?
okay. No.
Yeah, so that's fine.
So, okay, we'll keep going. So I think if you're mid-20s, you're freshly starting your career out and you're trying to set yourself up, one of the things that you have to do is have boundaries with your social calendar. It's fun to go out, it's fun to do these things, and you can have those experiences. But when you have your brand new job or your second job out of college, social hour is for the weekend. You really have to prioritize your sleep because a lot of times that new job, it's a lot to process cognitively. And when you are sleep deprived, your executive functioning is declined. Your judgment is declined. Your critical thinking is declined. Your short-term memory is declined when you're sleep deprived. And so if you're, 30s, trying to start out in your career and you're going into your job with a sleep deprivation or a sleep debt from not sleeping during the week, you're really not firing on all cylinders to be the best present in those meetings. And so I think when you're early stage, you have maybe less, maybe you don't have, if you want to become a parent, maybe you're not in that season yet. It's just you're in your new apartment by yourself. There's less distractions for you to really focus on how does my body feel after a long day and things that you can do when you're in that early adulthood. I think mid-adulthood and after you become a parent, this is when it gets really difficult.
Yes.
Because you've got tiny humans who are also learning how to sleep, and they're constantly interrupting your sleep. And so I think to, nobody really talks about like that fourth trimester after you have the baby and you're just home and you're trying to figure out like what to do. You're trying to figure out your sleep. Your skin is changing. You're wearing these really awkward underwear from the hospital for like 2 weeks. It's uncomfortable. It's a season of mess. And in that fourth trimester, those first 3 months, nobody's going to get any sleep. You just have to figure it out, and you sleep when the baby sleeps. But what I want to talk a little bit more of is, when you're, maybe coming off of that and you're going back to work as a working mom. I think those are the areas where you really have to set up a system. You have to rely on other people in your village. If you're fortunate enough to have a significant other, alternate nights when that baby wakes up so you can have your rest for the meeting the next day. Take the baby out for a walk during the day as a stroller, so you get that exposure, and it will also help your baby sleep at night too. So I think, having different seasons and figuring out what things can I do, what things can I control in this season, I think is the best thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even with several of the clients that I am currently working with and continue to work with, they've gone through maternity leaves and trying to set up maternity leaves. And so one of the things when they come back to work, and I hope everyone who is listening, you're setting up your business to be able to take a maternity leave.
Yes.
But the sleep factor is real, right? And trying to make sure that they're setting themselves up. So I know for the folks who are listening who might be getting ready to have a baby, or even for the folks who have young ones at home, where they need you, and not ideally of let me wait until mom wakes up at 8 a.m. but they need you like where let me come into your room at 3 a.m. Or because I want to snuggle, or because I just want water, all of those things. So what do you do with that type of season if you're open to diving into that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. The want water part is, it's real.
Yeah.
I think that it's a balance, and it's unique for every mom. There's some moms out there who are, you sleep in your bed, I sleep in my bed, and we have it separate. And there's some parents out there who don't mind the co-sharing the bed because they know they're going to sleep through it. So you have to figure out what works best for you and your family during that time. But I think there's a balance because, when we were sleep training our kids and like kind of going through that, I knew that if I set them up to be a better sleeper in their bed, then mommy can get better sleep. And so, having a good system for them, putting them on a routine ultimately would help me get more sleep. But it's one of those seasons, especially when your kids are toddlers, there's not much that you can do for them not to. You're gonna have at least a night or two when they're impacting your sleep.
Yes.
It's just part of the process. And so I think on the days where you are getting really good sleep, if you already have a good sleep hygiene routine set up, then that night you're good. You have a good 7.5, 8 hours of sleep. You wake up the next day, you actually remember the meeting you had that morning. And you're like, okay, I'm going to tackle this day. But then the next day you might have a situation where your child is sick, or they're learning to potty train and they're going to wake you up. And you just have to kind of embrace that season, but also I think relying on your village. If you have a partner, alternate who wakes up with the kids. I remember taking the monitor and like putting it on my husband's side of the bed, like it's your night. Like I have a big meeting tomorrow, like this is your night. And it was understood. If he had a meeting, then it'll be my night to wake up with the kids. And so you're just kind of getting through this period of exhaustion, really. And you don't really know how you make it through, but you do.
Yeah.
And so I think if anyone is in that season, to really just figure out what works best for your household. We put dimmers on all of our lights. And so after dinner or during dinner, we literally start dimming the lights. We start calming the house down. That way the kids are starting to calm down. It's not perfect every night, but doing things like that sets the whole house up for better sleep. We teach them what happens to their body when they sleep, things like that. And so it's not a big deal when I'm like, okay, you need to get your sleep because of this reason. But again, it's not perfect every night.
Yes, no, I love that. I love that. I think about just the setting of the expectations at home and having honest conversations, especially for those who have a partner. Like to have honest conversations where you're not just taking on everything because you're the mom. And I know that there are some women who might feel the baby is mine and not necessarily, or maybe don't want to set the expectations. So I love the fact of empowering them to say what you need. I think the other thing that's coming up for me, my story is I was a single mom for a long time. And with Braylon, my son, he was the worst sleeper. I mean, he went through every single stage that there could be. Night terrors, teething, and they were just like back to back. So I didn't really get a good night's sleep until Braylon was maybe 4.
Yeah.
And, and so I did not think about dimmers, or I did not think about making sure I was teaching him about sleep. And I definitely didn't have a partner to go and kind of absorb the nights that he was waking up at night too. But what I did do is I prepared for the fact that Braylon was going to wake up. So like what you're talking about being proactive, I think is important. I think a lot of times as business owners, we can, I don't want to say everybody does it, and nobody is perfect. No. But I when I think about time, when I think about just the things that we have control over in our lives and our businesses that we could proactively approach, we miss it because we are busy.
Yep.
And I think we need to stop and think about what can we do proactively to set ourselves up better. So it's the same thing of I have no time. Well, part of the reason why you have no time is because you didn't sit down and look at what the rest of your schedule was. So you took on too much, right? Instead of saying, no, I can't do that. Or if I add one more thing to my plate because of everything that I have, or I didn't sit down and look at my calendar, so I missed the birthday party that was going to be coming up, and now I have a birthday party, or I have
with no gift.
Right, with no gift. So now I have to go find a gift, or I forgot that the kids have a play date, or my husband or my wives or whatever. Like we will literally sit there and just be like, these things just happen to us. And when I think about sleep, I think it falls into the same category. Like we are just like, well, there's just no way I'm going to get sleep. But instead of saying there's no way I'm going to get sleep, okay, well, let's say that you will not get any sleep because you're in this season. What can you do about it, and really taking control of the situation? So I like what you're saying about even the systems that we can put into place. Like there's so much more power that we have when it comes to how we treat ourselves and what we do in our lives to set ourselves up for better success. And I think this topic is right in line with that.
Yeah.
So when we think about the business owner and entrepreneurship, and kind of going back to what we were talking about, is there's going to be like the sleepless nights. There's going to be the nights that are going to happen. I'm worried about the team. I'm worried about money. I'm worried about, whether or not we're going to stay in business. I mean, these are things, the ebbs and flows of business. Business has ups and downs. It's just part of it, right? And so the control is for you to have the sustainability that you need, so that way you can weather the storms. I think from a health perspective, it's we need to do the same thing. We need to have things in place so we can weather the storms. So when we think about supplements, what are some things that we can do to make sure that we can sleep?
Well, there's lots of supplements out there. And so that's the kind of a good thing and a bad thing, because you're like, I don't know what to look for. There's so many different
plentiful
items. And, none of this stuff is something you just want to ingest without really doing your research. And so honestly, simple is best. When you're looking at a supplement, make sure they're non-GMO first and foremost, just because you don't want anything that's synthetic in your body. And then also looking like, what can I supplement with food before I just take a pill? But a lot of research that's done, and I love a good research article Clearly, I always keep one. But I think, when you're doing some of the research, magnesium is a solid proven. It really helps with calming and regulating your nervous system. And when you think of a business owner that's fragmented and stressed, your nervous system, when you're over anxious and your cortisol is spiked, you're in this flight or fight mode.
Yes.
And so your sympathetic nervous system is heightened, which is, the stress. And there's nothing that can really calm that down except for something that's physical, or you mentally know how to calm it. And so if you're in that season, you can't do it, magnesium really helps to calm and regulate your nervous system. And if you're in that type of system with that too, you want to simplify. I know there's more supplements that we can talk about, but I do want to highlight, if you're in that season, simplify your routine. Because when you're stressed and you're in that sympathetic mode, your body's thinking about safety. It's thinking about food. It's not thinking about being more productive. It's not thinking about your KPIs and your budget. It's not even thinking about those things. Your body is literally thinking about, how can I keep my body safe? So if you simplify your routine, then you can mitigate some of those stressful things. But magnesium will really help calm your nervous system. It works wonders. And it's very affordable.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And I love that, because I take magnesium and it's been a game changer for me. And I know, even just speaking with my doctor was like, magnesium's amazing. It's wonderful. Great job.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's important, and that's something simple that we can do.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's negates of, if you're like, I can't afford magnesium, it's not expensive, or I don't know what magnesium to take, then you already said it. It's a non-GMO.
Yep.
Right. So very organic and clean.
And just a regular magnesium. There's all these different magnesium this, magnesium that, just regular magnesium.
Yes. And then the fact of, you just only have to take it once a day, right? And so that's simple too. So if you take that at night or earlier in the day, whatever it says on the back of the bottle, then you've already set yourself up, especially in a stressful season too. And that's something that we do have control over.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Another supplement that a lot of people know about is melatonin. And so it's like, do I take it? Should I not take it? And there's a lot of research out there. And honestly, it's not the best thing to take long term. Yeah. If you're in a season and you need it to help with helping you stay asleep, then, a month or two, that's fine. But really, long-term use of melatonin can really change your sleep architecture. And you don't want that. It's like, if you start taking something that your body naturally produces and you take it in a synthetic form, your body will stop producing it. And so it's better to have different lifestyle changes and behaviors during the day that helps you get the best melatonin production, versus taking a supplement every day, year after year after year. You're depleting your body's natural way of creating melatonin, which is a really bad thing to do.
Yeah, I remember because, Felicia helps me with my sleep. And I reached out and was like, I got some melatonin. And you were like, good, but here's what not to do with it. Yeah. And so I think it's important for people to know, because sometimes you'll go on the internet. I know for me right now, I'm big into the longevity conversation and making sure I'm setting myself up as I'm taking different supplements and things. And so the internet is funny, because it will make it feel like you have to take 20,000 gazillion billion different things in order to live. Yeah. And then also everything's great and wonderful and you need this. And it doesn't necessarily go into truly what the risks are, or if somebody who doesn't have the credential or isn't an expert, they talk and they're like, oh, melatonin's great. And then, but you should only take it for a short period of time. Yep. Then I think this is where people need to make sure that they have other professionals that they're talking to and that they're actually speaking with people who actually know what they're talking about and have the credential to talk about what they're talking about. Yeah, for sure.
Just heat up some tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is great. We drink it at night. I put it in a little cup. We give it to the kids at night. They call it their sleep juice. Tart cherry juice is great because it helps your body naturally produce melatonin.
What is tart cherry juice?
So tart cherry juice is, you can get it in the juice out at any grocery store. It's cherries that are darker, pigmented. It almost looks like wine, but it's not.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, that's something too. I think we're talk about alcohol and how that impacts your sleep. But tart cherry juice is easy and it's affordable. You can get a big bottle of it. All you need is an ounce or two. Warm it up with some chamomile tea or something like that at night to reset with your magnesium calm packet. You're setting yourself up using things that aren't going to alter your sleep architecture.
That sounds like a vibe. Like, I think it's great that you give it to the kids, but I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, I have my tart cherry juice and my magnesium, and then I got my sleep mask,
Put in a little
and then I
champagne
got
glass.
my tea, and then I'm just going to take that before I sleep. I think that's really that's good. That's a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah. What other things can we do outside of supplements?
So kiwi is something that's high in magnesium naturally too. So, cut up a few kiwis, put it in there, or just have it as a snack before bedtime. That's also something really good that you can use. And if you do like your wine, you want to limit that before bedtime. This is a hard one for me.
Yes. So I'm thinking about like
this one is like I want to ignore all the research on it because I love a good glass of Pinot Noir. But honestly, your body needs about 3 to 4 hours to metabolize that wine before you go to bed. So having a nightcap, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, wine will help you fall asleep because it's a depressant. It will help you fall asleep. But it will interrupt your sleep 2-3 hours later, especially if you're perimenopausal. Your hormones are already very sensitive to alcohol and everything else.
That's my world right now.
Yeah, it's like, you're losing estrogen, you're losing progesterone. Progesterone helps you calm your body. Naturally, you're losing that when you're perimenopausal. You're losing your estrogen, so you're having more hot flashes. And then the alcohol also interferes with that, and it spikes your cortisol levels.
Wow.
So it's a great onset for sleep. It helps you fall asleep, but it interrupts your sleep later in the night.
Oh.
So my trick is that I'll have my glass of wine while I'm preparing dinner, like 6 o'clock, and then that way I can have it before, if I'm going to bed at 10, it's out of my system. But it's really a sneaky slope, if you're having it later at night. And if you're on vacation, have fun. But you want to limit these things every day, especially if you're finding yourself waking up in the middle of the night. These are the things you can do to help you not do that so much.
Yeah, and that is, that's so true. That's so true. So, and a lot of times I think with entrepreneurship, too, it's like, oh, let me have a glass of wine, or today was a rough day, or, and I know one of the things I read early on is to pay attention to when you are drinking wine. Like, are you drinking wine at the end of a day because you didn't make your money goals, or are you drinking wine at the end of the day because you did make your money goals? So I have to be, for me, what I do is I'm very careful about when I'm drinking wine. So is it a celebratory thing, or is it man, this was such a stressful day.
Yeah.
So, and even for me, just to be fully, for full disclosure, alcoholism does run in my family. So I think about alcohol from a different lens. And so it's important for you to pay attention to the behaviors for while you're doing things. And then I love what you're saying is that if it's part of your routine, then make sure that it's earlier enough in the day, or even with like the kiwis, eat the kiwis in the middle of the day, especially. And those are things that we can do in any season of business.
Yeah.
Good seasons of business, bad seasons of business, ups and downs, ebbs and flows. Motherhood is stressful, business ownership is stressful. So there's just a lot of things that are going to happen. And so the sleep hygiene is super important.
Yeah.
So a couple of things I want to just happen to with the perimenopause and menopause conversation, because I know I also, from my own journey right now, I'm in perimenopause, which is new to be identified with that. And then I also know that there are folks who are listening to this who are in menopause. So what are your recommendations when it comes to hormones, sleep, and all the things?
Yeah. Well, it's a fun season, right?
Yes, it's so fun. It's fun.
Yeah, you're on this like really good roller coaster. Your body's great, your skin is great, and then it's like skirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do change, new lifestyle.
Never mind, just kidding.
Yes. When you're in this stage, in this season, you have access to more. You're more cognitive of things.
Yes.
Like, and I'm going to answer your question, but I'm just laughing at this because I was in a group chat with all my friends. Yeah. And like, these are like my college friends. Mm-hmm. And so we get together periodically. And in this group chat, now it's like, hey, I'm taking this supplement. It's like, hey, this is what I'm using for like, you know, to help me with my estrogen. I feel like really, really moody all the time. Like this supplement really helped me. And so probiotics, yeah. So we're like in that 40 plus club where your group text might look a little different.
I'm excited. I got a new pill box.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yay!
Look how pretty.
It's got polka dots. It's so cute.
Actually,
for all my supplements. So, yeah.
Anthropology makes a really cute one. Actually, no plug, but they have.
No,
really,
I got that.
Really,
that's the one I have.
It's so cute. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
See, we're in that season.
Yes.
But I think going back to the basics never fails. Mm-hmm. I think it can feel very overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But really just understanding what is my body doing during this stage.
Yes.
And what it's doing is it's losing estrogen. Mm-hmm. It's losing progesterone. Mm-hmm. The loss of estrogen is where the hot flashes, the uncomfortable things come in with waking up in the middle of the night. The loss of progesterone, that naturally helps to calm you. Mm-hmm. And so when you lose those two things, a lot of women in this season, you're waking up to between 2 and 4. There's a lot of research out there. Between 2 and 4, you have the most sleep interruptions.
Yes.
When you're perimenopausal or menopausal. Mm-hmm. And it really stinks because about that time, you are in really good, deep stages of sleep. Mm-hmm. A sleep cycle lasts about 90 minutes. Yes. And so, when you're going through a really deep cycle of sleep, your deep sleep is when you process the stress and the emotions of your day. And the things that will spike your cortisol the next day. Like you're losing key hours of deep sleep. And so one of the things that you can do is look at, well, okay, if my body's going to lose this, how can I help to prevent that? Mm-hmm. And there's 2 options really. One option is, to go to a doctor, figure out what sort of supplements work the best for you. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, unknown or uncertainty sometimes about hormones, especially if you have a history of breast cancer in your family or you personally. And so taking something like that is, maybe you don't want to take estrogen. Mm-hmm. Well, talk to your doctor about, the benefits of progesterone, which helps with calming without spiking your estrogen levels. Mm-hmm. And so kind of figure out what kind of hormone replacement looks like for you based on your medical history, but it's not something that you want to just, take a group text message, opinion on, but go see a provider. But also, what are the things that we can do to help increase our melatonin levels during the day? Mm-hmm. So if we have those spikes in cortisol at night because our hormones are all out of the place, these are things I can do during that season that work just the same. Mm-hmm. So I think managing your stress, which sounds so much easier to do.
Yeah, it's so much easier. A lot of it's
so
easier
much
said than
easier.
done. Yeah.
But I think in this stage, you really have to figure out how to set your boundaries because when you're trying to do everything for everyone and your body's already, going through this season, you're just going to stress yourself out. And so you don't want to be selfish, but it's okay to say, like, my plate is too full.
Well, I do want them to be selfish.
By saying that.
Yes.
Yeah. My plate.
Like I just said a whole episode.
My plate.
Selfish.
Okay, good. Yeah. My plate
selfish.
is too full. Like, I would love to do this, but I can't. Because a lot of times that, the people pleaser in us can really set yourself up to be working on something for someone else at 11:30 at night when you should be in bed.
Yes.
And getting your sleep so you can be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of a long-winded answer. But I think, going back to the basics, looking at your hormones, what you can do, whether it's, synthetically or naturally, and then simplifying your routine and setting boundaries.
Yeah. And I think even with me, because I'm on HRT at this point in time, and because I do have a history of breast cancer, and I know you do too, that's something that me and my doctor are talking through when it comes to my hormone replacement therapy. I know that there's new research that has come out where HRT isn't necessarily connected to some of the things where, like, you just can't be on it because of your family history of birth control, because of your because of your history with breast cancer. But there is there is a certain type and a
Exactly.
certain, amounts and all of the things too. And so part of the conversation of just making the time to have regular checkups. And I know a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times those things, especially when you're a busy business owner,
Mm-hmm.
those things will slip.
Yeah.
Right. Like a couple years will pass and you haven't been to the doctor. A couple years will
Mm-hmm.
pass. You haven't had a mammogram. A couple years will pass, or a year passed, or you're supposed to get your teeth cleaned every 6 months. And,
Yeah.
next thing you know, like, oh, I haven't been for a while, right?
Yeah.
So it's like those simple things that can make a world of difference to help make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you're set up for success. There's a story that I have that I won't tell today, but, if I had just made a different choice when it came to how I was doing my care,
Mm-hmm.
then in the consistency of my care, and I did something where I was trying to save time, which actually cost me so much time.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for us to really make sure that we have the relationships that we need with our providers, that we're comfortable with our providers, that we are having deeper conversations with our providers, that we're being our own advocates with our providers. And I think because we're all in healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
we still have to navigate the same system as patients do. And it's important for us to be our own advocates and to be selfish,
Yeah.
because nobody is coming to save us when it comes to our businesses, and no one's coming to save us when it comes to our health. So, yeah.
Oh, I love how you pointed that out with just like the, a history, having a history of different diseases. And I think it's very fearful sometimes, especially just breast cancer impacts
Yes.
so many people and so many, members, that it's very scary.
Yes.
But I think also when you're looking at the pros and the cons, when you're not getting sleep because your hormones are constantly waking you up, you're at a higher risk of cardiovascular disease. You're at a higher risk of metabolic syndrome to increase weight gain. That's going to make your hip joint and your knee joint not be comfortable. You're not going to want to exercise. Exercise is another thing that you can do from a habit standpoint that really helps set up your hormones.
Yes.
But you're not going to be able to do all these things, and you're not going to be able to be the person you want. You're going to be moody. You're going to be irritable. You're going to be snapping at your kids all
have
the
that
time.
story.
Like literally, like you're not going to be the best version of yourself without sleep. So if you look at all the negative things that can come from, not taking that hormone supplement, but you have this fear that if I take it, my increases of this might increase. When you don't get sleep, your mortality rate of everything doubles.
Yes.
It doubles. So you have to look at how the pros and the cons outweigh itself. And so if you're on a hormone replacement, looking at everything else, getting your checkups, making sure nothing's spreading, things like that to make sure that you got your checks and balances.
Yes. I'm really big in, at this point in time, like we have to treat our bodies well. And even to get biblical, it says in the Bible, we're supposed to treat our bodies like a temple. And this is part of it too. So Felicia, thank you. This has been such an amazing conversation. And is there anything else that you want to talk about, or anything else that you want to leave the audience with?
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me back. I think, different seasons that people are in, you just have to embrace your season. It's not going to be perfect. Your life doesn't have to look like a Pinterest board.
No, or Instagram highlight.
You're going to have moments where you're just exhausted. But having the tools in your toolbox to pull out, what does my body need right now? What am I missing? Those are the things I think you can take with you through any season. And if you have somebody that or love, they're struggling with their sleep or something like that, having them reach out to someone to get some help with it. You have different levels. You have, what are the behaviors I'm doing throughout my day? That's where you can start. Before you get into supplements, before you get into any type of sleep treatments, just what are my behaviors during the day? How can I set myself up to be the best version of myself?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Thank you again, Brandy. If you are enjoying this conversation, you can find me at Sleep for Wellness on Instagram. I talk all things sleep productivity, health, and just how to become the best version of yourself. And also motherhood and navigating that as well during your sleep journey.
Yes, Absolutely. Thank you, Felicia. I know that there are going to be a lot of people come in to definitely get more additional information from you. So
Awesome.
I'm sure this conversation helped you and get some good sleep tonight. And we will see you guys next time. All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and it empowers you as the CEO of your practice. If you enjoyed the podcast, please make sure you subscribe, share the message, and leave a review. If you want more information and support in growing and scaling your practice, click the link in the show notes to take advantage of our free resources or apply to work with me directly. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.